All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Languages Pedagogy Podcast, the place where we explore the ideas, stories, people sharing the future of language learning and education around the world. Every teacher leaves something behind. Sometimes it's knowledge or confidence. Sometimes it's a simple sentence that a student remembers for the rest of their life. But today's guest believes it's much deeper than that, I guess. He believes teaching isn't simply a career. It's something that becomes part of who you are. And
Mm.
here's something. One of his latest book is titled Teaching is a Tattoo. And honestly, I couldn't think of a more powerful metaphor for what education really means. Today, we're going to explore why teaching leaves permanent marks, not only on students, but on teachers themselves. So, Mike, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today. And please
Oh, of course.
introduce yourself. Let us know. Let the audience know who you are, what you do, where you are.
So I'm Mike Johnston. As you mentioned, I am the author of Teaching is a Tattoo. I also wrote You Are Poetry is the first one that came through as part of the story as well. I'm currently speaking at you from right smack dab in the middle of Turtle Island, right here in Canada. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, is where I'm calling from, and yeah, I'm currently hopping into a new role as a high school English teacher, which is really exciting. But over the past 20 years of teaching, I've taught middle school and Indigenous education. I was Indigenous education specialist for a little while, and all that sort of wrapped in with the other pieces I was doing. So a lot of really interesting, fun pieces on my journey as a teacher for sure.
Oh, that's beautiful. That sounds like you've been actually having a really good fun over there. 20 years. 20 years career.
Yeah,
Woo,
yeah.
woo,
Luckily, I still have this youthful look to be for sure, but it's 20 years is
woo.
it's uh it's a lot of minutes.
I was actually talking with Dave Burgess. For sure you know him. I was talking with him and I was
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
yeah, of course. So he was actually just I said, I mentioned also I've been actually in this career for 20 years. Only 20 years, I said. Or no, just 20 years. And he's like, hold on a second. You
Yeah.
say just 20 years? And I'm like, yeah, it's too little. Why? That's not
Mm.
little. And I was like, well, I still believe I'm young. I can actually go more for it.
Yeah.
I can keep learning. No.
And, and that's part of the excitement of it too, is that like 20 years have gone by fast,
Yeah.
because it's so deeply, wonderfully human. Like the thing I like about uh well, not to get too large or cheesy with the idea, but the thing I like about life is people. Like we're a very social animal, humans are, and so to be able to do work where you get to sort of be connected to other humans every day, like it's some of us have classrooms of 15, 20, 30 or more people, and that those are all deeply, uniquely human people in front of you that you carry their own stories into the classroom, and you
Yeah.
get to it's a real privilege to get to know those people and to have them get to know you. And I recognize that privilege because there are a lot of people who do work that is very cloistered, very sort of like you stay unto yourself in the work that you
Mhm.
do, and we have this huge privilege of colleagues and students and structures that really make deeply human work
Mhm.
just something
Exactly.
really engaging and fun. So yeah, 20 years can go by in a flash, man, because
Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah.
It's like but it's beautiful. I think I still believe that 20 years is still little. I don't think it's that much. I think not because I'm actually want to say that, oh no, it's just nothing. No, but it's a lot. But at the same time, it's like, no, we still have so much to learn that I think like I wish I
Yeah.
could have like 40 years. That would be beautiful. Then I would be it.
Yeah.
It would be it. That's it. 40 years, that would be amazing.
Wouldn't hate that at all.
So let's begin with something because as I was telling you actually at the beginning, before actually starting hitting the record button, I just told I'm really happy actually to be part of something really special that you actually did, that you actually wrote there. your book,
Thank you.
the book Teaching is a Tattoo. Beautiful book. I read it. I saw actually the personal experiences of different teachers. I love it. Beautiful stories there. I actually just put one of the those bookmarks in different stories because I really like them. They they're quite inspire you actually to keep going and you know love yourself, keep doing your job, and that's it. So I really love it. So I would like to start now sharing about this book, and I would like you to tell us a little bit more about this book. It would be amazing if
Mm.
all my audience actually can have access to read this one and get it. And I really encourage everyone to do it because it really I really loved it because it touched me. It really gets me. So
Oh,
why teaching is a tattoo? Where did that idea come from? And what does that
uh,
actually truly represent to you?
so that's a great question because uh, so you mentioned Dave Burgess, and he is
Mhm.
a phenomenal human being who really believes deeply in the stories that people have to tell. Like his like the whole thing behind the books that Dave publishes, and I'm so lucky to have two books under his banner, is that he really cares about the stories that people are telling and like what those can do for teachers and those connection pieces and how we can all sort of be connected and supported. So uh, all of this journey started way back when I was a much younger man and I walked into slam poetry. I had thought about doing it and I'd hemmed and hawed about it. And I went in to do my first ever poetry slam battle. And I was just about to leave, and somebody was like, "No, no, like you should be here, right? You should do this thing."
Mhm.
And I got a push from that community, and I tried it out that night, and I won that first night, and that telling my story on stage in that way changed the direction of my life, and that ended up being so interesting for me that there was provincial championships and national championships, and that connected me to things like National Geographic, where I was named a Grosvenor Teacher Fellow, and got to explore a whole bunch of different pieces of the world as a teacher. And then finally, that landed me in with Dave, and I ended up writing this book first, which is You Are Poetry. Sorry, it's my signed by author
Yeah.
copy. I'm really proud of that. But I wrote that book, and it went well, and this was all about how to use poetry as a methodology of storytelling in your classroom, right? How do you use poetry not just as a unit, but as a
Exactly.
way of saying your story matters to me. And poetry, I like to tell people it's like the soccer of writing. Because soccer is popular because it's accessible. Soccer is
Yeah.
is popular because all you need is a ball and some friends and some imagination. Like you can make anything a goal. You can play in the street, you can play in a stadium, and poetry is the same way. Like as long as you have a story to tell it. Like there's so many different ways to tell it. And even there's poetry structures, there's poetry that's completely unstructured. So like as long as you have a story to tell, and everyone does, then you're a poet. So uh telling people that they're a poet was a really important part of that, and having that be that piece. But then that book created so much connection and so much wonderfulness that I talked with Dave, and I said, so I've got a weird idea here, where I was like, I'm a teacher who's covered in tattoos, and storytelling always matters to me. And I like this idea that like we do a lot of storytelling as teachers without even really doing that storytelling. And a lot of that is a tattoo that we carry with us. Like every tattoo that somebody carries, I love them. Like I wish I had the ability to stop time, because every time I see people, like I just traveled recently, and I'm walking through the airport and I'm seeing dozens and dozens and dozens of people, and all I want to do is ask about, well, why did you do that? Not
What's
in like a
behind? Yeah.
judgmental way, but in a way that's
Yeah.
like please tell me your story. And so I presented this idea to Dave, and I said, I really want to write a book about tattooed teachers. This one right here.
Yeah.
And like he was fully in for it, from the jump. And then we just wrote this beautiful piece where it was like, you know, all sort of highlighting the storytelling behind tattoos and highlighting this idea that like teachers bring a lot of who they are into the work, and we need to lean into that. Like instead of sort of just letting teaching be this big machine of
Mm,
systemic, things that need to get done, right? There's all these evaluations and all these check marks, and yeah, teaching is very systemic in some
yeah,
ways, but it's also deeply human. So I really wanted people to understand that, like, whether you physically have tattoos or whether you don't, you as a human who decides to become an educator, you carry so much of who you are into everything you do, and we really need to
exactly.
lean into that. So, teaching as a tattoo, yes, is about tattooed educators and the stories that they carry, but it's also about the fact that, like, whether you have tattoos or not, this is just a metaphor for bring who you are to the work, because people want that, right? There's I really, really feel like there is a much deeper learning, like some of the deepest learning that you can bring is just by talking about and working through life experience together, right? Like if you know more about a person, you can't love that person less. Like if you see a
Exactly.
person's tattoos, or if like if it's a student, if it's a colleague, and you have the care and you have the love to ask them about their story, and to sort of create that space for it, you have to like them more, right? Like you absolutely have to connect to them more. It's like it's a mathematical impossibility that you're going to know someone more and like
Yeah.
them less, right? Like once the more human you can make a person, the more that connection is there. So teaching as a tattoo is really about, yeah, people walk into the classroom carrying actual physical tattoos, and that's great. That's a really interesting way to tell stories. But it's also an acknowledgement that, like, regardless of the systemic piece, we need to always be championing the fact that what we do is deeply human. We are humans telling our stories and living our stories, and the more we can connect with each other's stories, the more we can make space for each other's stories, the deeper the learning is for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. This is one of the things that I really love your book. You actually mentioned all of them. I really love your book because of that, because of what it actually shows. But there's also something else that calls my attention. The subtitle of your book talks about owning who you are as an educator, right?
Mhm.
That actually makes me wonder, like, how important is authenticity in teaching?
Mhm.
Can
I think
students
I think
actually
authenticity,
tell that? Do you think students can tell when teachers are pretending to be someone they're not? That's another
100%.
one.
And I think it's so nice to be in the time that we are, because there was a time where teaching was like this monolith, right? This the idea where it was like the identity of a teacher was very small. You were like, and so were the classrooms. You had like back to the days of like one room schoolhouses, like there were these long lists of things that teachers could and could not do, outside of their work hours. And it was a real, teachers can only be a certain thing. And uh, authenticity is essential in teaching, because when you have a room of 15, 20, 30 students,
Hmm.
you're not going to look like or sound like or be like all of them. But the more teachers they can see, the more teachers they can interact with who are different, wonderful, unique human beings, the more they see themselves in that learning too, right? Like I I am very comfortable with who I am, right? But I know that I'm in a room of 30 students. There's probably like 25 kids who are nothing like me. And maybe there's like
Yeah.
like five in the room who are like, "Oh, we're also, you know, kind of dramatic, kind of silly, kind of like have the same sort of vibe as me." And then
Yeah.
there's a bunch of kids who are like, we learn totally differently, and they have to know that that's wonderful and welcome too. So when I'm authentic, I show them it's okay to not only be me, but I show them it's okay to be them too. So I think authenticity is extremely important, but not just the authenticity that's like through your teaching, but the authenticity of who you are as a person. I think that people really value that. I think that there's a huge amount of learning that's done, uh, that's like in the hidden curriculum piece of all this, where we're showing students how to live is sort of where we're at too. Like, yeah, I'm really good at teaching the things I teach. I can teach people how to write. I can teach, humans how to read. Like, I can do all of that. But by living who I am, I'm I'm teaching them things that are quiet. I'm teaching them things that are hidden. I'm teaching them things that are like,
Mhm.
well, I had a teacher and I saw him and he lived with a lot of joy. And I don't really say to them very often, hey, living with joy in your life is great, but I in living that and being authentic to that piece, then I'm teaching them that that's okay to sort of pursue that too. So yeah, and that being said too, authenticity is also really important because it takes stress away, right? Like
Yes.
that we have this thing as teachers, which is
Point.
so weird. Like we really want to compare ourselves to the teacher down the hall, and I still do it. I'm not devoid of that feeling. But like I have these teachers who I love and I see them and I go, "Oh my gosh, they're amazing and look at what they're doing." And then my brain, inevitably goes to that thought of like, "Oh, I could never do that." Or that's not how I do it. Am I doing it wrong? And like so when we live authentically as teachers, we take the power away from that. We go, "Yeah, they're fantastic. Look at how great they are. I'm great at different things." And so what do we do with that? Maybe that looks like collaboration. Maybe that just looks like you walk by and you go, "Hey man, like I tell teachers every day, I saw that thing you were doing and I thought that was amazing." And they're like, that creates connection too. And I think that's why authenticity is essential. You got to bring yourself to the work. Like you got to own yourself and be proud of yourself. And I think that that's where the metaphor of tattoos comes in too, because when you care enough about something to permanently put it on your skin and wear it around, yeah, that's a story that you've got.
Exactly.
Like I have I've lost track here, like 15 tattoos, 17 is it at this point? I forget. Uh,
They tell us to fit into a mold. They tell us to follow the script, hide our edges, and blend in. Teaching is a tattoo. Discover the stories of educators who refuse to hide. Own who you are. Read Teaching is a Tattoo today.
I'm booked in to get more in the next coming weeks anyway, so it won't matter. But all of these are stories where if somebody asks me, they're like, "Hey, what's this one?" Like I'm in love enough with that story to tell you what it is. It matters enough to me to tell you what it is. So
Exactly.
I want that authenticity piece to be available for all teachers too, because like when you ask and when you point things out, then that's that love, that's that deeper learning, that hidden learning.
I've been hearing you, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel so excited actually because I remember I had one of my first guests actually here in the show I had, and I remember I told him, I feel like being a teacher is something cool. I say it's something cool, but then I hear you now, and I think I was actually referring to a teacher to something just cool, like Dave said, it's just cool. No, I think it's actually goes
Mhm.
more than that. Now that I hear you, a teacher is kind of a superhero here. You
Yeah.
gotta be like very empathetic. You gotta be there. You gotta help. You gotta do this, and you do it because it actually comes from within. It's not actually something that you just learn because you actually went to university, you went to school, you just learn how these psychologies or this uh you learn the pedagogy about this and how to do this methodology or whatever. It's not about that. Teacher is actually goes beyond that. It's someone. It's the
Yeah.
authenticity that you're actually just talking about. So I really like actually all what you just say about it because I feel it. I That's why I'm telling you, when you actually sent me that message on X, I remember, and then I was part of it, and I sent you the picture and all that. I was like, so beautiful. This is really something that I never thought about. And it's beautiful. Someone in the system, someone, an educator, just come in and say, like, you know what? Let's show this to the world because people needs to know,
Yeah.
regardless of a tattoo or whatever, we're still humans. We're here. I don't know. I don't understand why this is a big problem actually still, and it really actually, I don't know, causes me like a little bit of a annoyance. I'm a bit annoyed about it because it doesn't have to be like that.
No. And I think the culture around tattoos is interesting too, because and I do address it in the book, and I talk a little bit about the fact that like the culture of tattoos has really shifted. Like you and I were talking earlier about how when I first started teaching, it was a suggestion that maybe the tattoos that I had should be hidden with longer shirts and things like this. And uh, and I felt that, and it's made sense at the time. But now we're in such a wonderfully cultural shifty moment where like
Yeah.
people really want real teachers. Like the system wants people to be real. The system wants humans doing human work. And I think that part of that is the acknowledgement of uh of tattoos, right? And not just the tattoos that are very visible, but the things that people do that are individually very important. So like one of the big things that I tell people when I go out and when I talk about this book, when I talk about tattoos to teachers is like this is a metaphor. Like if you don't have tattoos, great, but you still do. Like you still carry so much of who you are into the work every day. And that's the part that I think people really need to acknowledge. Like haircuts,
Yes.
jewelry, the
Piercings.
type of
Yeah.
clothes you choose to wear, like nail polish, like every little choice that you make as far as like the story that you're telling with yourself visually and through the way you interact with other humans, all of that is a tattoo, right? The tattoo, I mean, strictly speaking, I love tattoos because I love anybody who loves a story enough to carry it on their skin. I love that. But
Yeah.
like metaphorically speaking, the book is really about every teacher, tattooed or not, taking a look at themselves in the mirror and saying, what parts of who I am as a human do I carry into the classroom every day? And why is that great? And how can I weaponize that? How can I make that into a really important learning piece, right? Like
Yeah.
if you have a team where I've seen people who teach like kindergarten, and there's a team of like five different humans who do it, and some of them are on the scale of like bright, shiny, fun things every day, and other ones are like, I'm just going comfy because I've been teaching, like all those little decisions, all those little character pieces like of who you
Yeah.
are that you carry in, that teaches kids things too. And I think that there's a real importance and a real value to a teacher looking at themselves in the mirror and being able to say, this is who I am, and that makes my teaching better. Like pedagogically speaking, like instrumentally speaking, because of who you are, your teaching is inherently more valuable because of the person who is doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, the people who are teaching the exact same things as me are always teaching differently. And that's great because in the more you can look at yourself and acknowledge, I'm a great human who is doing really unique, wonderful human things. Like
Exactly.
you and I are both teachers, and we
Yeah.
could be teaching the exact same content, the exact same curriculum, the exact same everything, and it's going to be different lessons. It's going to be different vibes. It's going to be
Yeah.
different feelings, and that is great because there's a lot of education that demands uniform, that demands standardized pieces, standardized, and acknowledge it. The individual acknowledge that too, and celebrate both pieces. Then that's, I think, where the superpower is. That's
Yeah.
that's where we come in because like nobody is ever going to be able to standardize at 100%. So if you take the responsibility of standardization and the awesome power of authenticity and personalization, and you sort of meet them in between, then that's carrying the tattoos of who you are into the work.
Exactly. Whoa. That was a really good one over there. You know what? Now that I hear you about talking about this authenticity and all this, what you just said now, but actually there's something, is there anything that actually worries you most about the future of education then?
Uh, I don't know. Like I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't think worry is the right word. I think that for me, I'm just curious. Because like I try to live by this uh it's a quote that I have nothing to do with that I had discovered through a TV show called Ted Lasso about a
Okay.
soccer coach and all things. There's a quote there that they focus on a lot that says, be curious, not judgmental. You know, and there are always things that uh, the education system I'm going to question, and that like I always wonder, why are we doing this like this? Or I, there are aspects of it that I am worried about, but this is why I think tattoos are so powerful too, because tattoos are human stories that are carried. And as much as I do have concerns about the system and about the way that we're doing things, um, I have these little question marks about, all these little things that are floating around and the way that the system wants to exist. I
Exactly.
really believe that the human of things and the stories that people carry, the fact that we are teaching humans and that we ourselves are humans is always going to be something that is bigger and more important than the systems around it.
Hmm.
Like it's so do I have concerns? Yeah, but I've had concerns about the system for all 20 years of my teaching. And the reality of it is, as concerned as I have ever been about anything systemic or structured, all of those concerns have always been taken away by the little tiny interactions of teachers who care
Hmm.
enough to have conversations with kids, and that's it. Like the little tiny caring of human to human work is always going to be more important than anything systemic
Yeah.
for me anyway. And I think that that's why the tattoo metaphor is so meaningful, because if you see somebody carrying a tattoo story and you care enough to ask about it and connect on that experience level,
Yeah.
I care about your experience, so I'm going to ask about your experience, and you know that I'm someone who cares about it, so you're going to talk to me. Like there's so much safety in that like that human interaction piece is always going to be more important than anything systemic. And
Definitely.
so much in 20 years the pendulum has swung from one side to the other and swung back again, and
True.
so the systems will always change, but I really do believe that the most power that comes out of what we do will always be in human to human interaction, and no system
That's a
can change
fact.
that.
That's a fact. That's a
But we
fact.
but we can make it more powerful. Like no system can change that, but when we
Hmm.
acknowledge humanity and bring that into the work, and we seek out those stories and we seek out those connections, and we look at our students and we look at our colleagues and we say, I care about your stories. Like I care about who you are. Let's
Yeah.
connect on that level. Then I have no concerns about the
That's
system,
it.
because the system
Exactly.
can't do
But
anything more powerful.
that's a reality, and I like actually that you bring this up right now. But I don't want to sound out like a little bit apocalyptic or just bringing the negative stuff over here. But the reality is the reality. In a system where we are, and I really like
Hmm.
also this book because of this, because it sounds like a movement to me. It's like a movement. This is a
Hmm.
movement called Teachers a Tattoo. I mean, we could actually respect and love everyone regardless of the tattoo or not. I mean, we don't have to actually care about it. But we are so deep into
Hmm.
a system that it's also judgmental, a lot judgmental.
Hmm.
Like there's no ceiling for them. They still keep doing the same thing, and,
Yep.
and we have many teachers right now burnout, and some other teachers that want to come actually to the profession and all that, but they don't know what's going to happen. The novice teachers, they have one idea. The expert teachers already have a different idea. But
Hmm.
when it's about tattoos, they're like, okay, as a teacher, novice teacher. I just want to go there, but I want to have a tattoo.
Yeah.
How can I actually, in this case, protect my passion? How can they protect their passion without sacrificing themselves? Because they just want to actually just go being a teacher. That happens in Japan. I mean, if you go to Japan and you see actually you have a tattoo, that's it. You got no job. That's a
Yeah.
reality.
Hmm.
Definitely in the West, it's a lot different, but anyway, we still see a little bit of that pressure there.